And we're live.
Rest in peace to the late, great Bill Russell. Can we take a moment of silence for him? How about 11?
And let's not forget Vince Scully passed away this week as well.
That as well. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Just know that you are locked in to the point with
Skip.
And the King. You guys know what to do. Go down there, click subscribe, click like, leave a comment, enjoy it. Thank you guys for all of your support. Thank you guys for watching us. We really appreciate it. We might be in a position for you guys to meet us personally. We'll let you know about that. And thank you guys for enjoying our fantastic guests, especially right there. Yes, Skip, I'm going to beat this joke till it's dead. Nick Nurse's doppelganger, Mr. Coach Tim Roache. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well, much better over the last few weeks. So Raptors Nation, don't get COVID. Not this strain anyway. Just you can avoid it, do so. It's no fun.
Exactly. So, in the news right now, Spider-Man No Way Home made $1 billion at the box office.
And Batgirl got canceled. And Batgirl got canceled, but that's a different story.
Hold on, wrong show. Wrong show. Sorry, Skip. Wrong show. But in other Spider-Man news, there are rumors that are out there, and we're seeing them from pretty credible reporters out there that the Raptors are front runners to attain the one and only Donovan Mitchell, aka Spider-Man. If y'all didn't get that joke, okay. Now, this is what we're going to address today. That's why you clicked on the thumbnail. So, let's ask you first, Coach Tim Roache. How would you address these rumors of Donovan Mitchell possibly coming here? Instead of being no way home, he could be closer to home since he's from New York.
I still think in the end he'll end up in New York. And I was shocked because 2 weeks ago I thought he was going to New York. It looked like everything that was coming out, it looked like it was going to be Quentin Grimes, Toppin, Fournier, and like 5 first-round picks for Mitchell. And if you're Utah, that's what you want to do. You want to try to get younger and get as many draft picks as you can because Danny Ainge is the master of getting all the draft picks. You got to remember, too, back around 10, 11 years ago, he pulled off that Brooklyn-Boston trade with Garnett and Pierce, and Boston got a ton of draft picks, which eventually led to Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So he's looking to basically duplicate what he did in Boston in Utah. Donovan Mitchell is a very exciting player, and he would be a good fit offensively on this team. He has the ability to create his own shot. For his career, I'm just looking at his stats. He's basically 24 points, 4.5 assists, 4.5 rebounds per game. It's pretty good for someone 6'1" in the NBA.
Yeah.
I'm talking about,
and he's only averaged over 20 points every year since he started.
Since he started, he got robbed Rookie of the Year. Ben Simmons took it because he took a year off. But Donovan Mitchell would bring an element of shot creation to this team that I don't think that we've had in a little since Kawhi, more or less. Some of his battles with Jamal Murray in the playoffs a couple of years ago in the bubble, him and Murray both were scoring more or less 50 a game. I think Mitchell offensively would be an upgrade. My concern is defensively because I'm going into looking at this as Fred Mitchell in the backcourt. It's a little small. You got 2 guys under 6'1", and that's what Philly did to us in the playoffs. They always tried to get Fred in mismatches, and they were able to take advantage of that. So my only concern would be defensively. So more or less the fit itself. I kind of question if it's the right fit for this time. It's not the player itself. It's just all the other pieces around Mitchell. I'm just wondering if he's the right fit or not.
Okay. Skip, feasibly, how would Donovan Mitchell fit in with the Raptors? I guess with the money, with the contract, and with like Nick Nurse just said, defense. Yeah, I'm riding that joke. like you just said about defense, even though he does have a large wingspan, is it feasible for the Raptors to attain him?
It's feasible if it's really what they want to do. I'm not convinced it's what they want to do. The money, you can make the money work, but it means sending out at least one starter, probably two, which is tough. But I mean, there's ways to get there. Realistically, the thing with bringing in a guy like Donovan Mitchell is there's a few issues with it. First of all, bringing in a 6'1" guard. I mean, if you're shipping out a guy like an OG Anunoby, for example, we'll get into details later, but if you're shipping out a guy like an OG Anunoby, you can kind of kiss positionless basketball goodbye because you're bringing in a 6-foot guard. If he has to pair up with Fred VanVleet in the backcourt, that's 2 6-foot guards in the backcourt. Forget Vision 6'9", forget all this crazy switching defense. You're going to have to go back to more of a traditional play style. That's part one. Part two is the defense, which Tim already touched on, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But again, I don't know exactly how Donovan Mitchell fits defensively. If he's kind of been about an average defender by the numbers. It's really hard to tell, parse what's what, because he's playing on a team with Rudy Gobert. He's being propped up by Gobert. If he looks worse because of Gobert, I don't know how to parse those numbers very well. Defensive numbers are notoriously unreliable anyway. But I don't think he's an elite defender. I think at best you're looking at a guy who's about on Gary Trent Jr.'s level as a defender. And the third thing is, this is the big thing here. Donovan Mitchell's usage last year, according to Cleaning the Glass, was 35%. That's 99th percentile among combo guards in the NBA. That's the very, very, very top end. Basketball Reference uses a slightly different usage metric, but they have his career usage percentage at, let's see here, 31.4%. That would be, he doesn't have enough minutes to qualify, but if he did, that would be the 8th highest usage of all time. That's like up there with guys like LeBron, MJ, Allen Iverson. Like, this is a guy who is going to demand the ball. And when I say demand the ball, I mean he's going to have the ball in his hands. And for years now, we've been saying, all right, we got to get Freddie off the ball. We got to space the floor. We got to get the ball in Pascal's hands. We got to get the ball in Scotty's hands. So if you're bringing in a guy like a Donovan Mitchell, suddenly you're bringing in a guy who needs the ball all the time. And I mean, if you really believe that Mitchell is on a par with these guys that I'm talking about, if you really think he's a megastar, superstar, Hall of Famer, Michael Jordan type player, then obviously you're gonna live with that. But if you think that Mitchell is a few tiers below that, if he's just your garden variety all-star who's demanding the ball a lot, then suddenly what happens? You take the ball out of Scotty's hands, you take the ball out of Pascal's hands, and you're having this other guy run the offense all the time. And the problem with that on this roster is that all of a sudden you don't have enough floor spacing, because Scotty is not a floor spacer. Pascal's not a floor spacer. So it's a really tough fit in that sense. Now there's an argument to be made. You bring in a guy like Kawhi Leonard, take him to a title. He's just that good. There's an argument to be made. You build your roster like constructively. You have your dream scenario of how the roster is going to be constructed. But at a certain point, talent trumps all. And if you have a guy you can bring in who can just take you to that next level, you suck it up. You take the hit on defense. You take the hit on usage or whatever. But I don't know that Donovan Mitchell is quite that tier of player, despite what his usage numbers are at. So if you're bringing him in, you're asking him to take a step back in his role. And suddenly, if you take the step back in his role, those numbers are going to go down a little bit. And suddenly it's like, well, why didn't we just keep VanVleet? Or, I mean, depending who you send out, why didn't we keep OG? So I'm a little bit, I'm very neutral on this. I think there are ways you could talk yourself into it if it's on the table, but I would be surprised if it works out for various reasons. I think there's also, I'm going to get into this later, but I think also it's tough to find a package that Utah actually would accept. But yeah.
Skip, you didn't answer my question. Is it feasible? Yes or no?
Is it feasible? It's feasible.
Yes or no?
It's feasible.
Yes or no?
Would I do it? No. Is it feasible? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell you what I would do. No.
Okay.
Not at all.
I'm not doing it either.
Damn chance, right? Because Skip, you kind of just slightly touched on it. About the floor spacing. Like, if you're gonna get him, you're gonna have to give up Freddie. My mom's gonna raise hell. You don't want that. You're still trying to fit into this positionless Vision 6-9 basketball, and contract-wise, I don't think it's great because there are other intangibles that go in with what the Raptors are doing. Like if you looked at this offseason, shout out to our man Robert. He educated me on that one. All the Raptors are training. They're working hard. They want to go somewhere. They're doing stuff. They're running in the sand, running in the water, in the gym, doing all kinds of stuff. So, and I think when it comes down to chemistry and how they're involved with each other, right? I don't think he would be a good fit. Like you kind of touched on, is he that Kawhi Leonard player? No, he's not going to take them to a championship. He doesn't have that killer instinct. Even KD wouldn't be able to do that for the Raptors. But
I don't know if I agree with that, but go on.
Don't. But then again, there's also if the Raptors, like I see the other side of the coin too, right? I could kind of understand there are many valid points. Okay, you bring in a superstar player, you bring in someone that's on a pretty decent contract, right? Who has averaged very well for himself, has made a name for himself, bring him closer to his home, he might entice that. But if you were to, my question to you guys right now, here's a deep question, and let's get deep into this. Okay, wait, before all that, we ain't the NBA trade machine. So you guys don't get at us for this, okay? But if you were to bring them in, who would you bring in? And here's why I'm saying this, because over the last, 2 months, I've been saying it looks like Masai has a plan to make a blockbuster trade at some point with all the assets he's been gathering and extending contracts and re-signing. So if you were Masai or Bobby, who would you give up to get Donovan Mitchell?
I think Gary Trent comes to mind. I think he's making $17, $18 million, but you're going to have to add some filler to it. And Utah's going to want picks, multiple picks. Masai in his career has never given up more than one first-round pick. Never. Mm-hmm. So to think that he's going to do that now for Donovan Mitchell, who's a star in the league, not a superstar, but I think he's a star. I just don't see him. I don't see him doing that. So something along the lines of, I'm not talking about a 3-team trade here, because I think you'd have to get a third team involved. But it'd be along the lines of Trent, Kem, he makes $6 million. That would get you to about $24-25 million. I think Mitchell makes 30. You'd probably have to throw in a Malachi Flynn too. If I'm Masai and Bobby, that's probably what I'm looking at. But if I'm Utah and Danny Ainge, I'm wanting OG. If I'm Danny Ainge, that's exactly who I'm wanting from the Raptors. And I say that because of how versatile he is, but also he's there for longer. He's there for multiple years. Trent can leave after next year because he's a free agent. So that's why him and Fred, both of them, don't make sense for Utah because they're all on one-year deals.
Yeah. Skip, who would you give up?
Don't
say me.
I agree. The Trent thing. Trent is in every iteration of the trade I put together. So basically how I have it worked out in my head is Utah would ask for Gary Trent, OG Anunoby, and picks. And then they'd be sending back Donovan Mitchell and a little bit of salary. I had Nickeil Alexander-Walker written down as the salary. I think the Raptors would have to counter with a package involving...
I would like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like it, but I think that's what Utah asked for because I don't want to move OG. I think Toronto counters with Trent, Van Vliet, and picks. Maybe 2 first rounders, maybe 3 max. And the other thing is on that trade, I would try because Utah's gonna have to throw in some salary anyway. You can make it work with a guy like Alexander Walker or a guy like Rudy Gay, but I would ask for Jordan Clarkson back because if you can get Jordan Clarkson back in that trade, suddenly you can talk yourself into, all right, Mitchell's an upgrade on Van Vliet, Jordan Clarkson's an upgrade on Gary Trent. We're giving up a bunch of first round picks, but we're getting better overall. That's how you rationalize it for yourself. Now, does Utah want that package? Short answer, no. Utah does not want Fred VanVleet. He's 2 years older than Donovan Mitchell. He's on a shorter contract. He's already had some injury problems. A team that's rebuilding is not going to want to go out there and get a Fred VanVleet. So the only way to make it work under that parameter is to bring in a third team. Now, Kenyon, we were talking off air. He's not on this episode. Obviously, he's busy right now. But he suggested a trade where we bring in Dallas as that third team, the team that you kick Fred VanVleet to, and then you send Davis Bertans and a few picks to Utah to make up the difference. I'm not going to get into all the specifics of the trade. There's also a couple other pieces to make the salaries work, but long and the short of it, it would be Fred VanVleet would be it would be the trade that I just suggested, and then the third team would be Utah would be spinning VanVleet off to Dallas for picks and salary. So yeah. I think that works. That sort of makes sense for everybody involved.
It works in theory, but let's face it, Dallas is going to be ranked pretty high in the Western Conference over the next couple of years. So those picks aren't really going to hold too much weight.
Well, that's
in
true.
The first round.
That's true, and neither are the Raptors picks, right? So that's the calculus here.
You'll need a team. You'll need a team like I think Coach was saying, and I kind of alluded to about like maybe New York, because they're not going anywhere, right?
Well, but any team that's getting Mitchell,
they'll have some high first round picks.
Any team that's getting Mitchell is going to be good, right? So I think the way you do against that, you guard against that, is you give them an unprotected pick in like 2026 or something, like a few years out.
Hold on, Skip. You really think with what I just said that if New York were to get Donovan Mitchell, they still won't have high picks? You really think he's going to be their savior? Look at the Eastern Conference.
I mean,
bro.
if they're trading for Donovan Mitchell, they're expecting to be good. Whether they are good or not. Whether they are good or not, they're expecting to be.
I would take full advantage. I'd be like the wasps outside my place right now, eating a dead rat. Just.
Oh yeah, I understand what you're saying. Danny Ainge is probably looking at New York and he's sizing them up. He's not looking at Toronto and sizing us up. I agree with that.
Because Toronto's going to finish in the top 5 in the Eastern Conference next year. How high of a first round draft pick is they going to get you? Next year they're going to finish probably in the top 4.
It's going to be a few years out.
First round draft
the unprotected picks are going to be a few years out, and Utah's going to be gambling that we collapse eventually. But we won't. I understand your point. I mean, they're not going to be super valuable picks. Tim, were you going to say something there?
If I'm Danny Ainge, though, the Knicks package is probably going to be the best package, and this is why. Knicks have OKC's 3 first-round picks. OKC's going to be bad. And if I'm Danny Ainge, I want those picks on top of the 4 or 5 that he's got from Minnesota. So he's going to have enough picks to go in for the next 5 to 6 years to have multiple first-round picks. And that's how you have to rebuild in the NBA. Get young players through draft picks, get rid of some of your big salary, which they've done in Gobert, which they would be doing with Mitchell. So if I'm Ainge, I'm looking at the Knicks as the best trading partner for them, and the young players they'd be sending back with Grimes and Toppin. They want to be bad. They want to get the kid from France, Victor Wembanyama. He's like 7'3", and he might be a KD. We don't know, but if I'm Utah, that's what I'm aiming to do.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
And like you said, with OKC, they got so many draft picks in their war chest that they can afford to give some up.
Oh yeah,
right. Well, they can afford to give some up.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You mean New York? New York has so many picks in their war chest.
New York has a lot of picks. OKC has a lot of picks.
Yeah. Anyway, you might be right. I mean, the Raptors can only trade the picks they have, right? I'm not expecting them to go out and acquire picks beforehand to make this trade. The question is, can you put a package together that is tempting for Danny Ainge? And maybe you can't. Maybe Danny says, all right, I'm going to go to New York. But I mean, why hasn't the trade happened yet? That's the other question, is why hasn't the trade happened yet? What are they waiting for from New York? What are they waiting for from? We don't even know officially if the Raptors are involved, but
rumors.
In theory, you would think that this move would be happening before the season starts. I'm not saying. I mean, Danny Ainge is known for holding assets and taking his sweet time, but something's got to give here. So maybe Danny Ainge is just playing the long game with the Knicks and waiting for the Knicks to ante up, and it doesn't matter what the Raptors offer. I'm trying to put together an offer based on what the Raptors have in-house.
Right.
Go ahead.
I think it was Gobert. Did Gobert get 4 first-round picks from Minnesota? Or was it 5? I can't remember. But he's going to want
I think it was
to.
4.
I think it might have been 4.
But also Walker Kessler, who was a first-round pick,
and that was
a
their
month
pick
ago.
too.
Yeah.
But with Mitchell, he's going to be like, well, I want another pick. You see, they offered 5 picks. The Knicks did. He'll want 6 from them. I think they have 8 first-round picks in total over the next 5 years. I think it's what it is. He's going to want 6.
I thought it was 7.
I think it's 8. Realistically, 3 from OKC plus the ones. I think they had one from Detroit, and there was another team, if I remember correctly. But the more picks that the Knicks include, the higher chance that they're going to get Mitchell. The only problem is the Knicks have been down this road before with Carmelo Anthony when they gave up all of those picks 10 years ago to Masai Ujiri, and then they have to keep having some picks as they go along over the next few years, even with Mitchell. You got to give up 5 probably.
Even if the Raptors are committed, even if the Raptors decide that they want Mitchell, which as we stated in the opening, it's tough to even get there. But even if we decide the Raptors want Mitchell, your walkaway point has to be way before that. Your walkaway point has to be like 3 first-round picks, and 2 starters. It's different if you're only giving up 1 starter, but if you're giving up
that costs too much.
If you're giving up 2 starters and 3 first-round picks, I think that's your walkaway point. I don't think you want to give 4, 5, 6 picks up. Like Donovan Mitchell's good. He's not that good.
So let me ask you both something then, because you've highlighted about this 3-team trade with Trent going to Utah, Gary Trent going to Utah, Fred's going to Dallas.
Yeah.
Your starting lineup would be Scotty at the point, Mitchell at the 2, OG at the 3, Siakam at the 4, Precious at the 5. That's pretty damn good.
That's a damn good lineup.
And you might have Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench.
And you got Clarkson. You still got Otto Porter.
Yeah.
So there's that. Yeah, there's that element, but at the same time, Utah probably wants to be bad.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. You give them.
Trent's expiring. That's the other. Does a young team want to go and get a guy like Gary Trent and gamble that they're going to be able to bring him back next year? I mean, it might be the right. He's kind of the right age for a team like that, though, because you bring in a guy. I think is Trent 22 right now, 23. I don't have the number.
23. He's 23.
23. So you bring in a 23-year-old. Say they sign him to not a max deal, but like a big contract. That might fit their window where he's like 26. He's kind of their shooter off the bench when they start to get good again. But even still, that's a lot of risk for them to take on. And like you said, the first round picks probably aren't going to be that great. So
that might fit into the Danny Ainge blueprint where he gets a guy, sign him for a lot, let him run the team, and then just trade him for better assets, more volume of assets.
Yeah.
Like look what he did with Boston, and look at where Boston is at right now.
My point is just that Trent's young enough that Utah might, if they think they can sign him, it might be worth it. But it's tough, man. Like it's tough to get there for both sides in this trade, and I just don't see it coming together. I think the Raptors are way too invested in what they have. They're way too invested in positionless basketball. They're not going to want to really blow everything up for Donovan Mitchell. I just don't think Donovan Mitchell's a guy you blow everything up for. Kevin Durant, if he was 5 years younger, that's a guy you blow everything up for. Donovan Mitchell is like, yeah, he's good, but
okay.
Here's another thing too. Fred and Trent are both coming up the end of this next season.
Yeah.
Mitchell's locked in for a few years I think at about 30 mil roughly. Trent is going to get 25 plus in the free agent market. Fred is going to get 25, maybe close to 30. That's a lot of money to lock up with 2 players. So they're going to have a decision there to make, like, we could probably keep one of them, might have to get rid of someone else.
And that's why they would do the Trent and VanVleet iteration of the deal, because of that specific issue that you're bringing up. Because if you're not going to be bringing back a Gary Trent Jr., why not just get Jordan Clarkson in here for a year? He's probably better than Trent next year anyway.
Skip, it sounds like you and Jordan Clarkson had lunch the other day.
No.
You're all enamored.
I'm trying to find a version of the trade that works. That's all.
But guys, we're running out of time right here. Okay. can we just get one last round? Just give me a hard yes or no. Should the Raptors pursue Donovan Mitchell? Tim?
No.
Skip?
No.
It's unanimous. Unanimous vote. That they should not.
Kenyon, where are you? You should be here to give us a yes, but
I think he'd say no.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not trying to speak for you, Kenyon, but I think he might say no.
Okay, so guys, it's been a good conversation. I wish this could go on for an hour, but I'm pretty sure our audience out there, they're not going to spend an hour watching us. Even though they love our faces, love what we say. I've seen the comments. You guys are absolutely amazing. You guys actually deserve this moment in time.
Yeah.
Hey.
You guys actually did deserve that moment in time. And thank you guys for supporting the Raptors. Thank you guys for supporting us. You guys you know what to do. Go down there, click subscribe, click like, right? You guys can holler at Tim Roache, at Tim Roache on Twitter. You guys can holler at Skip, Coach Roache on Twitter. You guys can holler at Skip, at Dougie J's on Twitter. It's baseball season. He's losing his mind. We were watching the game the other night. He didn't know which screen to watch. You guys can buy his book, Running the Point, signbroder.com. Yes, this is the early copy. And you guys know what to do. Find me at King Hussein on all social media platforms. You guys find us at To The Point on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, which is where you're watching us right now. And if you're not, you're bootlegging. You owe us some money. Look it up, okay? You guys, what we think is just as important what you think. So let us know what you think about Donovan Mitchell possibly coming to the Toronto Raptors. We would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. So on behalf of myself, the coach, Tim Roache, glad you got better, man. And my man, Skip, a.k.a. Simon Broder. On behalf of all three of us, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and
peace.